Hello, this is Jamie Magritte. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to be doing a simple stamping, a casual stamping, and an avid stamping card using all things fabulous and the dies that match it. Fabulous floral dies. Well, let's get started. All of the cards are going to use the same basic, and then they'll step up as we go. I have a 4x5 1/4 inch piece of Whisper White, and then I have a thick card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I'm going to be using these 4 colors of ink. I have Old Olive, Pumpkin Pie, Mango Melody, and Daffodil Delight. And let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring in the Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to bring in this stamp. Actually, I think I'm going to stamp my sentiment first. That might make it easier. So I'm bringing the Old Olive, my sentiment. It says, "You make the flowers smell sweeter and the sun shine brighter." Stamp that down here at the bottom. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, now we'll stamp this one. Right there. Now we're going to bring in the Mango Melody. Let's turn these. And I'm going to bring in this middle one. Sure it doesn't have any dust on it. And you can line them up by, I don't know if you can see them, these little diamonds here. It's easier to line up if you do the darkest first, but just kind of line it up as best you can. Okay, and then the pumpkin pie for the center. And again, it has that same little diamond. See that little, I don't know if you can see it, right there? That helps to line it up. If it's not perfect, that's fine. This one's not going to be. Okay, then we're going to bring in some leaves. There's 2 leaves, one splayed one way, one splayed another, and then there's another smaller one. So I'm going to take this one first. Link that up. I'm going to stamp that up here. Take this other 3-petaled leaf, stamp it over here. And then the two-petaled leaf. I'm going to stamp it right here. Okay, then we're just going to take some adhesive. I'm going to use Tombow Mono. It's still quite wet. My pumpkin pie ink must be really juicy. and adhere that to the front of our card. It's going to be a 1/8 of an inch border because it's a 1/4 inch smaller than the space. Okay, so there's our first card. Here's the one I did previously. I think on this one I had my flower this way just a little bit more, but okay, so that's the first card. For the second card, we're going to add some of the crinkled seam binding. We're going to add this die from Ornate Layers dies. Okay. We're also going to add a piece of soft seafoam. So this is the second one. So my card bases, I'm going to start the same way. We're going to do exactly the same as the previous, except we're going to stamp our sentiment onto our soft seafoam and die cut it out with this die. So let's do that first. Okay, then I'm going to cut it out with this die, and I will be right back. Okay, there's that die. Set that aside for a minute. Now we're going to stamp the flower on here. And just for placement purposes, we're going to stamp it the same way we did. Daffodil Delight. Next layer, let's see if I can get this one lined up. Come on. There we go. The next layer. Then our leaves. I want this one first. And this other one down here. Smallest one, so it's stamped exactly the same way, except we're adding that die cut piece for the sentiment. Okay, this is going to get popped up on dimensionals. We don't want to put one all the way to the end though, because we're going to trim it off. Okay. Okay, so it's going to go down here and it's going to hang off the edge a little bit. Bring in my snips. Turn it over. clip off this end, overhanging. Okay, this is going to get dimensionals on the back of it. All these backs off. Center this on the front of our card. Now I'm going to bring in some of that seam binding. I need enough to go around the card and tie a bow. So let's the hardest part of this card is tying this bow. It's staticky too. That wasn't too bad. Trim it. Adjust where the bow is. There we go, and there's card number 2. Okay. Card number 3. We're going to bring in the dies that match the stamp set, the Fabulous Florals. These are the dies we're going to be using. I'm going to cut this out of white. And these we're going to stamp the flowers and die cut them out. Okay, put these over on my machine. We're also going to be using that previous die from the Ornate Layers dies. Okay, so let's do that first. We're going to add the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder as well. So there's card number 3. Okay, so I have the piece that I already die cut out. I have a piece of Whisper White to stamp my flowers and leaves on. I have that layer for the front of the card, which is 4 by 5 1/4, that I've already run through the textile embossing folder. And then I've got my soft seafoam piece to stamp my sentiment on. So let's get started and do that. I'll put this piece aside. I'm just going to reuse the same piece from the previous. Stamp that sentiment. Perfect. Run that through. Okay, let's bring in our scrap piece. Let's stamp our flower the same way we have been, except we're going to do it on a separate piece of paper. stamp our leaves. Okay, I'm going to bring in the dies. I'm going to line them up. I'm actually going to use tape to tape them down. I try to put it so that the tape isn't touching the die cuts. Go ahead and get these all in place. And I'm going to run those through my die cut machine. And I've already done this piece. That would have been done too. And I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I've got my flowers cut out, but I did want to show you on this, cutting this out, I did a little bit of a trick. Instead of cutting this dead in the center, I moved the die over this way. Get it straight. And there's my top plate. Run that through. And you'll notice it's hanging off a little bit there. That's all right. Okay. Then we popped this out, and I moved it down so that it was shorter. I want it just at the end of these words, and you can feel it kind of locks in there. So you set it back down once it's locked in where you want it. And you could run it through all the way. I just chose to just run this end in and then back out. And then I still have the stitching all the way around the edges. Okay, get this out of the way here. All right. Now let's assemble this card. I'm going to bring in my mat just because I've got permanent ink on here. I traced something with a permanent marker and it bled through. I need to get some, clean it up with some alcohol, so I need dimensionals. And I need some small ones too. Okay, so we're going to put dimensionals on the back of this. I'm going to bring in this piece. We're going to center that up on the center of that. Looks good. Let's put dimensionals on the back of these. I'll probably use more than I need, but I just like it to be level. Take the backs off. Okay, then I need some smaller dimensionals for the leaves. Put one on the back of each one of the leaves. This is the fussy part of this one. Okay. Now I'm going to take the piece that I've embossed and I'm going to mount that to the front of my card. Okay, I'm going to take this piece here and put glue on the back behind where the thing is, and it doesn't matter if it goes through a little bit because it's going to be covered up by that my soft seafoam piece. Put this piece down here. Let's add our flower. Right there. I'm going to add our one leaf up here. Other leaf down here. This time it's going to go hanging over that sentiment strip a little bit. And then this one up here. And then I'm going to bring in a bow instead of a whole big ribbon and a glue dot. So I'll roll up that glue dot. Oh, that side's better. Stick my glue dot under it. Add it to this corner. There we go, there's our avid. Alright, so we have the avid stamper card. The casual stamper card. And the simple stamping card. Well, thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper. I hope you can be inspired and create one of these cards today. Have a great one.